Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to this week's Lemon Tea Podcast. We're here with another episode.
Yes.
Today, we got a very interesting topic. So, last week, I think it's last week or 2 weeks ago, there was an Instagram post that says that should my boyfriend's new apartment, have my name in it within the contract? Is it?
What is okay?
Well, yeah, well, okay. So it's like a Chinese thing, right?
No,
So when you purchase no, it's not a Chinese thing, but it's okay. I'll get more into it, but
Like the home
simply,
ownership.
yep, the home ownership. So should
yeah.
my girlfriend's name be in the home ownership contract?
Mhm.
If you can follow that,
Mm.
because let me explain a bit more about the Chinese culture. Like for Chinese, owning a home is a big thing.
Mm.
So some in mainland China, some even would go as far as if you do not own an apartment or a house, you will not get married. And a lot of the time, I'm not gonna be stereotypical, but the male usually have to do the job of purchasing the house, and sometimes they will have to have the female's name in the contract to secure, like, oh, I feel safe now that my name is linked to an asset per se.
Mm.
So there was a story on Instagram, and the post goes somewhat like there's a girl and a boy. The boy is like they're on a stage where they're going to marry very soon, maybe in like the next year or so.
Are they
And
engaged?
I believe not, but it's like towards that level of like
Okay.
relationship, right? So the boy decided, it's like, okay, I think I wanted to purchase that apartment before getting married. So the boy asked the girl, it's like, hey, are you interested to support the apartment together, right?
Mm.
So the boy's parent paid the first part of the how do you say
Down
that? It's
payment.
like, so the boy's parent actually paid the down payment, which is very common in Hong Kong.
Mhm.
And so assuming that later on the two couples could continue to pay off the mortgage. So the girl, of course, is like, okay, if we're gonna support the family together and we are gonna get married together eventually, we are at that stage anyway. So I'm happy to do that, but is my name in the contract?
Mm.
And the boy is like, no, your name is not gonna be on the contract.
Mm.
So the girl kind of feels weird, but at the same time, the girl did say that she's not gonna break up or whatever. But she feels a bit unjust, I think.
Mm.
So hearing this story, and as a Chinese, thoughts,
Wait, is she paying for it? Like,
she is gonna support the mortgage.
But
but
That
like,
is the
but like,
assumption. That is the
but like, how
assumption.
much? Like half and half?
Yeah, I would assume so.
Mm, okay.
Let's just say a
Mm.
30-year mortgage is gonna cost around 15K per month HKD.
That's actually really funny because I'm in like a pretty similar situation, I guess.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I'm gonna rent a place with my girlfriend
Mhm.
soon, and we're like definitely considering the option of like having like my parents support you with the down payment, and then you just continue like paying rent to them, because it's literally the same thing,
Mhm.
but you own the house, so you're
Right.
not paying it to like an. I've never actually thought of like I think you should think about it like that, like if they were not going to buy a house, they were gonna rent, right? And
Mhm.
Yep.
like the girl like like I would think, I would assume that the girl and the male would also pay rent together, like split it in half.
Correct.
So like I feel like in this case they are not really like they just like they should have like the mentality that they are renting, and I feel like whoever has the down payment has like should own the house. Like who paid the down payment should own the house.
Mm.
Hmm.
Okay.
But like if like after they married and like or maybe like they finished like paying for the house, I feel like yeah they can talk about like adding both names on the building.
Okay. I kind of agree. Like we're halfway there for my logic as well. So I feel like it's very circumstantial. Like we first have to ask the questions like, oh, are they already renting, right? If they are already renting and then they plan to buy a house so that they have ownership, then in that case, I think that oh yeah, it should be fine to add add her name to the title. Yeah, that's the title. That's the okay. And so but I do hear sentiments where oh if the boy's parent is paying for the down payment which is 20%, then should the boy have more ownership or like have sole ownership of the whole place? I think in my mind, if the boy's parent pay for the down payment and he pays for the whole thing by himself, there's no way that the girl's name should be in the title. But
Correct.
if he requires the girl to pay half in order to get this house, then I think she should be at least compensated for it. She should be part of it because if it is not possible without her support, then he can't afford it himself. So he cannot claim sole ownership. If you have the mindset of oh they're both just renting and it is just they're renting at a lower rate because they bought the house, then in that case I don't think that the girl is entitled to ownership.
But I think I didn't explain it well enough for in the case of like what I said. Like I feel like why I said that was because of like complications that may happen
Mm,
if you don't treat it that way. Like let's say like they something happened and they broke up midway,
right.
but you added
Correct.
her name already.
Correct.
So like what do you do in that situation? Because it well if you say like oh she's been paying for it, but then no she like if she's not on she didn't pay like an equal amount as the male side because her parents paid the down payment and the
Mhm.
down payment is a lot like bigger uh like a lot bigger uh like type
It's a
of
larger
payment you have to
chunk.
pay for
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It
a
is.
way
Yep.
larger chunk so
Mhm.
like in I at least in my case I would think like uh it would be easier to treat it as if like she was paying for a place to live
Right.
and like after the whole payment is done and the male 100% fully owns the house or like and then like or they married and then they could like set it like I feel like it's too early if like if you're still in like a male like just in a normal relationship and not married.
Yeah, I agree. If you're just boyfriend girlfriend, they like you shouldn't do any finances together. Like, you shouldn't have a joint bank. You shouldn't have joint access uh, asset if you're not 100% sure that you're with this person, right? And maybe some people can do that where they don't marry and they have a prolonged relationship like that. But I think okay, let's flip the question. Let's say that uh, they do they put both they only put the boy's name in the house and then they break up and but because the boy needed the girl to pay half of the rent to be able to afford it, if they break up and she doesn't have ownership in the house, she has no stake to keep paying, right? So let's say that they break up, she stops paying, and now that the the male has full rent that he has to pay that he cannot afford because he needed the girl to pay, and in that case, he will have to like give up the house or have his parent help him to pay rent, which isn't ideal, right? So that's why I say like, if it is so circumstantial where if he needed her to be able to pay half to meet the mortgage, then she should be entitled for ownership. If not, if he can pay it all by his own, this whole thing doesn't even matter. Like then she should not have her name at all. She should just
Correct.
be renting from him.
Okay, but in your case, let's say like the female what like left the guy,
Hmm.
but like on purpose. Like she has his name, like her name on the house already,
Mm,
and she knows because of this she has the upper hand and she can like take advantage of it.
mm.
Like, what if this happens?
Well, yeah, that's why I don't think they should get a house if they can't afford it. It's like that is
No, I'm
just
not.
waiting for
I'm not
trouble.
saying that they can't afford it. Like, okay, let's say they can afford it,
Or
but then like,
if the guy cannot solely afford it, like
well,
it.
let's say the guy could have afforded it, but
Okay,
then he already
put her
there
name.
was already the female's name
Mm,
on the house, and then like the female just like decides to
just
like
dip.
leave, but then she already has her name on it. Like, how would you deal
Mm.
with that situation?
That yeah, that is the situation where you want to prevent putting her name in. If you
All
can,
right.
if the guy can fully pay it, then I don't think he should like involve her at all until not at least not until they're married. And let's say that okay, mistakes were made, right? And we get to that point where you break up, and I think the best situation for the guy is to sell the place. Like, of course, since her name is on it, she has to agree to it, right? Sell the place and then split whatever in half. But then you lose the down payment to the girl. But if she is in it for the long con, okay, you win. You know, there's
Long con.
like there's nothing you can do about it, right? Because I think if you try to keep the house and your ex's name is on it, there's no way it ends well. There's no way that ends well. So you have to let
I,
it
All right.
go.
I just want to add a bit more why this story is such a popping like story between us friend group and in the Hong Kong community.
Mm,
Because again, this back to the Chinese culture. I just want to really emphasize this that having an apartment or a place is extremely important, um, even before marriage. So
mm,
it is a very common practice that people go to do, and especially in a lot of the Chinese drama, it's always like, oh, it's my name in the contract, in the what was that, the title.
title, yeah.
That is always a Chinese drama like sparking point. It's like before marriage, do you have a house, and
Mm,
is
mm,
my name gonna be on the house? And in some cases, if my name is not in the house, sorry, we're not getting married.
mm.
That is a deal breaker between a lot of Chinese family and relationships. So yeah,
It,
that's why I've been very quiet throughout this podcast because, to be honest, I wouldn't have this problem because my family's like kind of sorted that out.
mm,
But however, if I'm in that situation, I really wouldn't know how to approach that because
mm,
you're
mm.
risking your relationship.
I think it is. Isn't that like the same sentiment of oh should we have a prenup before we get married? Because
Correct,
Pretty
correct.
much.
would
But I'm
you?
not sure if we want to go into that. I mean, it's kind of the same thing
It's
to
the
be
same
honest.
thing. It's
But
the same thing. It's
no,
exactly the
no,
same
not
thing.
really. I think prenup is kind of disrespecting your spouse in a way.
Well, what if she's a lot younger? Like, what if you have like 10 years more asset
Mm-hmm.
that you've built up before you even met
Right.
her, right? And then,
Yeah, right. If you're marrying someone that's 10 years younger than you, then I think you need to consider your life again. Because
but it's a very like I guess
no, no,
yeah,
I
yeah.
totally. I'm not sure if I want to go into the prenup conversation
Okay,
because it's
okay,
gonna spark another thing. Because
yeah.
to be honest, like, if you're Li Ka-shing, if you're Bill Gates, if you're like Steve Jobs, then sure, of course, there's a reason for you to set up a prenup. But if you're
Mm.
just an average Joe with like minimal saving, like, your prenup is just gonna disrespect your spouse, right?
That's true. Yeah, yeah,
So
Well, I
but
don't think it's
that's
different. I feel like it's the
that's
same
sad.
concept.
That's
It's the
sad.
same concept, I
I'm
think.
I'm not saying you can be Bill Gates in 50 years.
yeah.
No, well, I think it's the same concept. Like, if you, it's very simple. A prenup is very simple. I feel like
Mm,
people are just making it complicated. You think that there's a possibility that you might leave your wife,
Yep.
then make a prenup. If you don't think
Yep.
that, if you're going into marriage thinking that you're not gonna leave her, then don't make a prenup. It's that simple.
mm,
Well, I mean, it's like kind of like a, when you put these contracts or like legality stuff within a relationship, which is extremely emotional driven, like not a lot of people could, um, how should I say, juggle the emotions between
mm,
that. Like I don't think a lot of people could handle that. Like if you're a prenup, like what do
Right.
you mean? Like you know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's kind of like yikes to have those. But again, if you're saying like conservative and to protect your asset, then sure. If your partners are that logical.
Well, okay. So Eli, you mentioned that if you don't think you're gonna break up, don't sign a prenup. If you think you're gonna break up, sign a prenup. But isn't that the same thing
Okay,
as
or the house
yeah?
thing.
It's a house. It's the same thing as the
Right.
house, right? If you think you're gonna break up, then don't put her name. Like this is what she feels that is happening, right? He didn't put my name. Oh, that means he doesn't think we're gonna last. So that's
Correct.
like the mentality going behind that. It's not that well, nothing in life is guaranteed, right?
Well,
Like,
yes, I said that because they're still boyfriend and girlfriend. That's
mm,
why I said
Correct.
don't put their name on the house because you don't know what's gonna happen next.
okay,
But
okay.
if we think that we're gonna be together like forever, and then like she has the like she wants to be on the house, then there's gonna be like a lot more stuff to talk about before you put her name like on the house. Right? I think that the mentality should be like she needs to she's gonna use the place. Like you're basically the landlord and you're lending it to her. Like depending on whoever is paying the down payment. And she's just taking it as like a rent. I mean, of course, you if she thinks that it's not fair, then maybe gets to pay less than the like normal rent
Right,
for
right.
the place. But like,
And
yeah,
again, that is an
like
extremely logical mindset that is assuming that your partner is gonna accept.
well, I mean, like if she doesn't accept it, then you have to like talk about
Okay,
it.
time to break up.
Yeah,
Time to
I
break
mean, you
up.
gotta talk about.
I'm
Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
like yeah.
It's like,
If you're
you
okay,
see it, right?
if you're okay with it, then if you're not okay with it, then yeah.
But again, like she's gonna like in this case, she is gonna
Stick with
contribute to
it.
the mortgage. You see?
Actually,
I mean,
I'm okay. I'm in agreement with Eli actually because finances this thing you don't want to get it tangled even within family. You don't want too much into relationship like that because money breaks relationships like whether you like it or not. It's something that you can never have more of enough of. So you know human nature stuff like that. But I think in the girl's point of view, because she's not in the title and she's paying towards it, that is what I can see that oh okay this is she feels that she is not being taken I guess like she's not being taken advantage of because technically if you buy a place splitting the mortgage should be cheaper than renting, right? Or at least that's the logic. So but it's the more emotional aspect of oh you're making precautions in case we break up. It's that like sour feeling that like I think it is the main sentiment of this whole argument in the first place.
And let's be honest. Later on, if they do get married, and assuming that her name is never gonna be on the title, right? If they do break up, if she is able to go to her bank and ask them to provide the payment proof, and she could actually fight a legal battle and get her compensation. Absolutely.
Oh, really?
How? Yeah, of course, because it shows that clearly that she is contributing to the apartment, so she should
Oh,
be compensated based on her contribution,
okay.
according to the price of the house. However, as you can already hear from my sentence, it's extremely complicated and very fucking annoying to prove.
Right.
However, yes, she is going to be compensated, even though her name is not in the contract because she contributed to the mortgage.
But yeah,
But
proving it
Chinese
is
day, yeah?
yeah, proving it is gonna be difficult. Like, what if she pays him in like cash, and then he pays the rest through his bank, right? Then like you can't prove stuff like
Well,
that.
yeah.
So
And again,
it's
it's like what Yula said last time is that what happens like one month she paid a little bit less and the next month she paid a little bit more, right? It's like those are tough stuff. And because as you said, Gabriel, maybe the male actually is not able to sustain the mortgage without the female. Then that's again another story. I
yep.
would.
I mean, in
I
that
love.
case, they shouldn't even get a house.
Yeah.
Oh no! I mean, like this, like extremely common in every Hong Kong family. To be honest, it's like because even the pressure test is probably not gonna pass if if it's just a single person, because an average Hong Kong person wouldn't be able to support a mortgage at all. A 30-year mortgage between two people, which let's just say is 15K per month, is extremely okay. Like it's okay. Like I'm just gonna assume that between two person they're able to finance that mortgage. However, if it's one person, then that's gonna be a huge burden, assuming that that person will never get fired from the job, never get sick, do not have a lot of expenses, and never and have all the insurance covered. Then that person would be okay. But that is assuming that everything goes well.
Well, that's with all, I guess, investments, right? You can say, because we kind of view house as this like, oh, end all be all, property thing that we once we get it, we
Aim
just
for, yeah,
like this is my life goal. I think we blur that a lot, because coming from our background, like you said, in Chinese culture, oh, having a house, having a car, that's like
correct.
assets of like status, right? But I think people forget that it is an investment in the end of the day, and if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. Like there's no way around it. Sure, like you can say that, oh, not everyone can afford it on their own, or like, oh, it's not a very reachable thing for everyone. Sure, I think there's nothing wrong with renting. Personally, if I'm not able to afford something, I cannot try to change my life around it so that I can afford something. That just doesn't make sense, right?
If you think about it, we're talking about a Chinese culture that stems from many, many years, right? Maybe like 20, 30 years ago, buying a house in China, a mortgage would take like 5 years. Now in Hong Kong, it's like what, 30, 40 years. By the time you pay off your mortgage, you're going to be in your 60s, right?
Yeah.
And able to pay off your down payment, you're already in your mid 30s. So again, time changes. Like, is that still the cultural thing that we have to really emphasize on? Like, are we going to change? Are young people's mentality going to change? I'm going to assume that looking at the house prices, a lot of young people are not going to be able to afford houses. Like they probably would be renting for the rest of their life.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Talk with your girlfriend. Talk with
Yes.
your spouse.
Yeah.
Talk with your partner.
Before any major decision, especially financially, I feel like mutual agreement on between partners is very, very important. Like open discussions. Oh, how much are we making? How much will we be making? Can we afford this? The name thing, it depends on the person. I feel like, because it's more like an emotional. I don't want to call it like emotional hostage.
It is
because it's
kind
like,
of.
oh, if you don't put my name, you don't love me. It's like, no, bitch.
Right.
I don't put your name because I
that's
can't. I don't want it to make it complicated, right?
I mean, also technically, like the parents paid the down payment, so
Right,
there's like more
exactly.
involved.
Correct.
Okay, to solve this,
Right.
have the girl's parent pay half the down payment. Then everything's, call it even Stevens, and put her name in there, and we can just call it a day. How's that?
Stephen Gumby is dead.
Wow, that's a good way to end this
What?
video.
Wait,
No,
what?
That's so goddamn random. Yes, he died.
What? How?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for listening to this week's episode.
Thank you.
Yes. Have a good weekend,
Peace,
everyone. Don't
Gumby.
forget to like, share, and subscribe. And rest in peace, Stephen Gumby. You're an asshole. All right. Bye, guys. Bye. Keep always
Wow.
doing
Thank
job.
you.